I have a question for you guys. 35,000. Does anyone care to guess the significance of that number for our day-to-day lives? 35,000, research has shown that we make 35,000 decisions a day. Now, I can't even count to 35,000, let alone make 35,000 decisions. Okay, so that's a lot of decisions that we make in a day. Apparently 227 of those decisions are based on food alone. If you're a foodie, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. But that's a lot of decisions in a day, and some might be impulsive, some might be reactionary kind of decisions, but some might be a little bit more thought through, like, when you wake up in the morning, what am I going to eat for breakfast, or what am I going to wear? What am I going to purchase with my money? Or even sometimes the bigger decisions in life. What career path am I going to take? What do I believe in? And stuff like, who am I going to spend my time with? What am I going to spend my time on? What do I say? What are the words that I say, and how do I say the words? Okay? So we've got a lot of decisions that we are making in life. So the question I have for you tonight is, what voices are we listening to that shape these decisions? Who is speaking into your life that make these decisions in your day? And I can guarantee you that there are people speaking into your life, whether that's through social media, through Instagram, through Facebook. I mean, imagine, you're going to buy some makeup or something like that, and you see the latest celebrities endorse it, or makeup artists that promote this flawless skin, and so you buy these products. Or it might be the latest footy boots, Nike Airs. Yeah? No? That your favourite sports star might endorse, and so that makes you think, I want a pair of those. And so it's all these decisions that you're faced with. Or it could be the people that are closest to you. It could be your family, your peers, your siblings, your parents. They might help you to make these decisions. I remember one of my first days it wasn't one of my first days. I'd moved to a new school, and it was a free dress day. And I remember, this was back in the 90s, I wore overalls, because overalls were cool back then. They're still cool now, so that's good. But I remember rocking up to school, and I remember a group of girls came up to me and said, "You look like a boy wearing that." And I was absolutely heartbroken. But you know what? Because they said that, because those voices spoke into my life, that really shaped what clothes I wore, how I looked, how I presented myself as. And so the actions of others can really speak into your life. And so whether we realise it or not, good or bad, we are bombarded with voices. So I want to share with you tonight someone that we should know, but apparently we don't. Meghan. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Meghan Markle. Okay, who knows Meghan? Come on. Yes, good. So there are people there. I kept saying to people today, Meghan Markle, and they're like, who? So it's good to see that people do know. But she is a very impressive woman. Okay, she's highly educated. She's a big humanitarian advocate. She's done a lot of work in Africa. She was an ambassador for the UN, speaking on women's rights. She's a famous actress from the TV show Suits. And now she's probably most famous for, or become a bit of a household name, because she married Prince Harry. And so she's married a prince, and she's now the Duchess of Sussex. That's right, yes. I think she is, Duchess of Sussex. So although it's probably every girl's dream, every little girl when they grow up, it's probably their dream to, dream to marry a prince. But I don't think that's what all of the reality is cracked up to be. I feel for Meghan because I feel like everyone has something to say in her life. And I think the media plays a huge role to play in the life of Meghan. There's a lot of voices speaking into her life with this. She got married at the start of the year, And I remember over every magazine, over the TV, it was just covered with opinions, painting this perfect picture of this perfect wedding day. There was comments about her dress. Was it too simple? Was it not royal enough? There were opinions about, her flowers and her guest list, and the media were just swarming and bombarding with all of these expectations and opinions. But even if we even look at people who should be closest to her, we see her family. Now, I don't always believe what the media says, but apparently she's had a lot of issues with her family as well. Okay? Her dad wasn't able to come to the wedding, not really sure what the case was there, but there's been a lot of speculation that there's been a lot of outcry from family members who have just been really accusing her and saying nasty things about Meghan, saying that she's not fit to be a royalty, and just people, voices really speaking and putting her down. And then we've got the other side of the coin. We've got his family who is speaking into her life. Now, there's expectations there, aren't there? I mean, I don't think that Meghan is the traditional woman that everyone expected her to be. I mean, she is an actress. She's American. She's not even English. She's divorced. She's got African-American heritage. And she even comes from quite humble beginnings. And I don't think it's what they expected. They expected someone from the high social life of royal life, someone who's wealthy and highly educated and understands those etiquettes in life. And even before her marriage to Prince Harry, she had to retire from acting and give that aside. She even had to be baptised into the Church of England. So there's massive expectations on her and opinions of who she has to be, people trying to shape her. And so I think that's a lot of expectations for one person, all right? The whole world has something to say about Meghan Markle. But what does Jesus have to say to Meghan? Let's have a look at John 10, 1-6. It says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name. He leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers." This figure of speech Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So it's interesting, we talk about royalty and now we're talking about sheep, okay? So stay with me. All right, so here is a picture of a farm, okay? And we'll get to that in a moment. We've got a sheep pen. Thank you. We've got a sheep pen. And we've got a gatekeeper. And we've got all the sheep come in and out of this pen. And there's a shepherd who leads them, who cares for them, waters them, provides them food, nurtures them. But then you've also got these other people who are jumping unauthorised entrance. They're jumping over the gate. And they're the thieves and the robbers. And they come to cause chaos, to cause destruction, to cause a little bit of a mess. And the sheep flee from them because they don't know this voice. It's not familiar to them. It's not a trustworthy voice. So Jesus, in this parable, he says that he is the gatekeeper, he is the shepherd, and we are his sheep, and we are supposed to know his voice. But sometimes sheep can make poor decisions. So I'm just going to show you a little video. Thanks, Caleb. I think we may have seen this in the media lately. It's definitely gone around on Facebook.
Oh dear, that's funny.
So sometimes sheep can make poor decisions as well. And that sheep was probably wondering, how did I get stuck in this? How did I get myself into this position? And you know what? We can probably think the same thing. How do we make such poor decisions that we get into a place where it's hard to get out of? Now, in this passage, Jesus says to the sheep, "Follow me." He says, "I will lead. Let me lead you." See, he says he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And they are to follow him. He doesn't say, "Off you go, sheep, go find your own way, go make your own decisions." It says, "I will lead them. I lead them out. I will take charge. All they have to do is follow me." And you know the beautiful thing about this, the part that I love, is that he says he calls his own sheep by name. All right, he knows them individually, he knows them collectively, but he also knows each sheep by name and calls them out individually and says, "Follow me." And that's exactly what Jesus says to us. He says, "Follow me. I will lead you." But the question is, how do we know how to follow? How do we know how to follow the shepherd? I think it gives it away very clearly here. It says, the sheep hear his voice and they know his voice. And so I believe this passage has a lot to say to Megan. It's got a lot to say to us, but I believe it has a very big message for Megan. It says, "Hear my voice." I believe that's what Jesus wants Megan to know. Jesus would really say to Megan, "Hear my voice. Know my voice." Amidst all the voices out there, amidst the media, amidst your family, amidst his family and those expectations, amid all those voices, hear my voice, because my voice gives you life. It's the voice of life. It's the voice that's going to make you make good decisions. It's going to help you in life. And I know you by name. It's a loving voice, isn't it? It's consistent, it's nurturing, it's caring. And I believe he says the same thing to you tonight. Listen to my voice. Hear my voice. It says they know my voice. The sheep know my voice. We should know his voice because it's a familiar voice. It's something that we hear every day. And how do we hear his voice? I mean, it can be hard because it's not like a physical person. I can look at Ben in the eyes and I know when he's talking to me. I can see his lips move. I can see the expression in his face. I can hear him audibly. But we can't always hear that with God, can we? But I believe that there's one way that we can hear from God. Because I believe there's several ways where we can hear from God. But I believe there's one that I'm going to talk to you tonight. And to know his voice is to spend time with Jesus. It's in spending time with Jesus in his word and getting to know the person of Jesus. Think about your best friend for a second, all right? The one you hang out with all the time. Now, how do you know your friend? You know them because you spend so much time with them, all these hours during the week. You get to talk to them. You know what they like, what they don't like, what their desires are, what their hopes are, what their dreams are. You know what really makes them mad and things you shouldn't say to them. In the same way, Jesus also wants us to know him in that way, and that's to spend time with him. It's to spend time with him and spend time in his word. And we can even ask him. We can even ask Jesus in life, what's the best decision to make? Because I tell you what, his word actually has the best, is the best book for us to be reading because it has those decisions. Instead of going to a friend for friendship advice, why don't you ask God, what do you think I should do in these circumstances? Jesus, when your friends turned their back on you, what did you do? When you were overwhelmed and anxious, where did you go? Who did you spend time with? And I can guarantee you that he has something to say in all of life's circumstances. And so my question for you tonight, Are you listening to his voice? Can you hear God's voice? And if you're not, do you want to know his voice? Because there's not a better time to start than now than to hear his voice. See, God knows you. He calls you each individually by name, and he wants to draw you into a place where you can hear his voice. It's the voice of life, and he invites you to follow him in that, to make the best decisions and choices that you can. Now, as I said back at the start, we have 35,000 decisions in a day. Are we allowing God to make one or two of those decisions? Or are we allowing him and giving him surrender to more than just that? So my challenge for you tonight is I'm going to get Kylie to hand out some of the prayer cards or pass them back. And there should be some pencils in front of you as well. And so I'm going to make a decision for you this week, okay? I'm making one decision for you. That you are going to write down on this piece of paper one area of your life that you wish to hear his voice in. Now, I'll give you some examples. It could be a friendship crisis. It could be something that you're just not sure how to resolve. It could be a work issue that you just want God to really speak into about an action or something that you feel like God needs to teach you in that. It could be that you're arguing with your parents a lot and you just want God to speak into that. It may even be how you choose to spend your spare time this week. But we're just going to, just write down one thing, one area that you want to hear God's voice in. And I encourage you this week, put that somewhere where you can see it, put it in your wallet, put it on your phone, put it on the back of the toilet door, wherever you're going to see it, all right? And really spend time asking God, spend time in his word and just really seek him. And you might even find he will speak to you. In fact, I can guarantee you he will speak to you in that. And then next week at Impact, we're going to talk about that together. We're going to talk about what God has shared with you. But I'm just going to ask the team to come up. You guys can keep writing your thing down, that's fine. But while the team comes up and while they play the next song, I just really invite you to just really think about those voices. So let me pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you for your word. But I thank you, Lord, that you love us, that you call us each by name. You know everything that we're going through, God. You know our circumstances. You know our decisions that we've got to make. And Father, you love us through it all. And you just want to help us through this. You want to lead us to places where we've made good decisions, God. To places where we can follow the shepherd, the one who cares for us, the one who loves us. And I just ask that whatever we've written down, Father, will you come and speak to us? May your voice just really become apparent to us as we sit in our rooms this week or wherever we are, where we're spending time with you, God. Will you speak to us in your word? I thank you, God, for everything you have done for us. In your precious name, amen.